Arkansas Bow Hunters Association. I appreciate all y'all coming to participate in this hunt. You can't hear me?
No,
I can talk louder. I don't know if I want to talk in the microphone.
there you go.
Me. So, as I was saying, my name is Wade Tucker with Arkansas Bow Hunters Association. I appreciate all y'all coming out to hunt in this hunt, participate in this one or whichever one you're in if you're just here, but you couldn't make it to another one. The object of this hunt is to alleviate these cities of overpopulated deer. And as long as we do what we're asked to do, we'll be able to continue to do it. If we have folks not doing what they're supposed to, then it won't happen anymore. And that's a lot of food goes to the young men and women when you donate your deer to Hunters Feeding the Hungry. And a lot more food goes in your freezer. And then we have a lot less accidents and property damage and things like that. So it's pretty simple. You go through this program, you qualify, and you get out there. You follow whichever city you're in, you follow their rules. Stay off the roads, away from the houses the way you're supposed to. You slip in, you slip out. You don't ride around with it sitting on the hood of your car. Showing it off. We want to get in, we want to get out. We want to be very discreet. We don't want someone calling and saying, you know, you were out in their yard at 9 o'clock at night dragging a dead deer across it. We don't want that. We want to be in here and we want to be gone. We want them calling the city and saying, hey, thought we were going to have an urban hunt. I didn't want it to happen. And then they're going to say, well, I'm sorry, it already did. That's what we want. You're all adults. When you're out there in the woods, if you already have your stuff set up, someone comes in on you, you get down, you try to work it out civil. If you can't, then you're going to call your local law enforcement, local game and fish, and let them handle it. But I have no doubt, if you go in somewhere and someone's already got something, you're going to turn around and you're going to go find another spot, right? Because we don't want to hear anything about any fights or any cars getting keyed or tires getting flattened because you had a little dispute because this one buck was walking through this one little section of woods. I don't think that's where he lives. He's got plenty of woods to walk around and go find another spot. The only reason I say all that is because we hear this stuff time and time again in every one of these hunts over the last 10 years. Stuff like that right there. And there ain't no sense in it because all it's going to do is going to upset the cities and we're not going to have them anymore. And I don't know about y'all, but I kind of enjoy it. That's some extra meat in the fridge. Plus I get to go a whole month earlier than everybody else. Just over what the rest of the process is while we're here, real quick. If you have to take the field day. Raise your hands. How many still got to take the field day? Took the online course. So we got a pretty good group. Okay, so when we dismiss from here, you guys are going to go out. So you're going to be on the far side of this building. Dion and the guys will be over there. The building that you signed up in, you're going on the far side. They'll have the stands and stuff set up over there. I don't know if he's going to try to do everybody in one group. Well, first you got to go see Carrie, right? Somebody tell me. Yes, got to go see Carrie first. I'm sorry. So you're going to go to the front of that building. And she's set up just inside on the left. I believe you'll need to go see her, and she will probably split you up into groups to send you out to Dion. And you're going to go through that part of it. And then if you have not shot, when you're done with your field day, then you come back to the line and we'll get you qualified. The rest of you, all you have to do is qualify. Whenever we leave here, you're going to go right back out where you laid your stuff. And we're just going to continue on and try to get this done. As far as killing the deer, we need to donate your first adult deer. We don't need you donating a little yearling or a fawn or anything like that. We need an adult deer because when they go, that stuff gets dropped off at their processor. it costs that processor the same amount of money to do what he does on that little one as it does on that big one. So he charges Hunters Feeding the Hungry the same amount that he does on that big one as he does on that little one. And you're not getting any meat going to the snack sticks or to the ground meat for people to eat, at their homes. When you take this little old 30-pound animal in there and you get about 8 pounds of meat off this thing, it's not the way we work this. You take your first adult deer. So if you get out there and the first deer you kill is not an adult deer, then you tag it, you take it home, and you eat that little bit of meat. But you bring an adult deer in for Hunters Feeding the Hungry on your first deer. Does everybody understand? Because we constantly have problems with folks coming in with fawns or small deer, and it's aggravating, And we've had them come in before, and they'll bring that little bitty deer, and they'll bring 20 bucks and lay it there and think that's gonna. We need the meat. That's what the whole program's for, is the meat. We need the meat. Appreciate the $20 donation that goes straight to them. But still,
the bigger the better.
Huh?
The bigger the better.
The bigger the donation,
The bigger
the deer.
The deer.
Yeah, but that's what we want. We don't want any of that, that stuff. And just the driving around, we always have something in one of the cities. Somebody's driving around, like they're, whether they are or not, road hunting or whatever. We have incidents constantly, somebody doing something stupid. It'd be nice to go through this whole hunt in the village this year without any problems. This is the biggest one that we have in the state. This city produces pretty much the most deer. We got the most hunters in here. But we got to watch our P's and Q's. We got to stay straight and do it right. Was it just the phone calls that come in, and some of you wouldn't believe the things that we have to deal with. Just people being childish. There's plenty of room. That's all I'm asking, is let's get through this without any mess this year, okay? What I'm going to do now, if anybody doesn't have a question for me real quick, I'm going to turn this over
I've got a question.
to Ralph. Yes, sir.
On the adult deer,
Yes, sir.
I think it's in the, number 19. They have to be adult deer, period. Says, both bucks and does are allowed to be harvested. Deer harvested must be adult deer, and the first deer must be donated to Arkansas Feeding the Hungry.
Yes, some cities let you kill anything.
Right.
Fawns or whatever. We have some other cities that don't let you kill fawns.
Right.
Just because of the things that I just talked about. Because when you cut them loose to kill the fawns, they're going to make 2 or 3 of them. They're going to throw them in that trailer. So that's kind of what I was talking about.
Yes.
Each city, depending on which city you're hunting in, has its own set of rules.
Okay.
The Game and Fish, and us, we work with them. We've got a basic outline of the hunt, the program, things that is required. But each city has their own individual rules, which you get handed to you when you sign up. So, I couldn't tell you every city's rule, but that's just the fawn thing. That's the biggest deal. Some cities have outlawed us, going into. We're there to eradicate the herd.
Exactly.
Okay, to try to manage the herd. We cannot manage, the herd, in my opinion, properly if we can't shoot the deer. But people doing that has caused some cities to outlaw them shooting the fawns. So that's kind of what I was talking about there.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about processing deer,
Yes, sir.
and this first time I've ever been here. I'm out of Louisiana. Do y'all have a list?
Whenever
Okay.
Ronnie comes up, he's going to let you know the local processors that are part of the program, so you'll know where to go. Okay? We'll let Ronnie do it since you're busy. Ralph, are you good? You good? All right, we'll let Ralph hold your questions for the end, please.
All right, so
JD started off with a very good comment, do right, okay? There are a lot of rules and regulations. Those rules and regulations are for specific reasons. I realize there's a lot of hoops to jump through, but the reason that we have those hoops are for three different things. Number one is safety, number two is discretion, and number three is deer removal. And that it's in that order, okay? We want folks to be safe, not only our hunters, but we want the citizens to feel safe so that these things can continue. We've been doing urban deer hunts here in Arkansas since the late 90s, and we've had very few accidents. I think we may have just recorded our second one today. But those safety regulations, the hunting from the elevated stands, the distance from hunting from occupied dwellings, those type of regulations, those are for safety, okay? Whether real or perceived, okay? So we want the citizens here in town to feel safe that the urban deer hunt is going on. Number two is we want to be discreet in how we handle our urban deer hunts. Like I said, these things are becoming more and more contentious. The city of Little Rock is debating right now to whether or not they want to have a hunt. But urban deer is a real issue here in Arkansas. And as we move forward and our cities become larger, we're going to have more and more urban deer problems. So if we can show that we can handle this effectively and efficiently and safely, these things are probably going to continue to grow. And we want that to happen. Hunting is the number one most effective method for managing urban deer populations. Not trap and move, not sharpshooting, not contraception. Urban hunting with archery equipment is the most effective by far. So we want to make sure that we take care of that right and that opportunity to continue that. So with that being said, we have come up with a pretty good process over the years on how to implement these hunts. I'm going to go through a few of these regulations. These are not recommendations, okay? These are regulations, which means if you break it, wildlife officers are going to give you some paperwork to sign, okay? So these should be followed to a T. If you have any questions, you can go on the ABA website or you can email the Game and Fish, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. Myself, Jeremy Brown, some of the wildlife officers, AJ Riggs, we're going to be hanging around after the orientation. So if you see us, feel free to come up and ask questions, okay? We want to make sure that everybody is clear and understanding how this is to operate. All right, so if you kill a deer in the urban deer hunt in Hot Springs Village, where do you check it to? No, what deer zone? Hot Springs Village Urban Deer Zone, okay? Not Zone 11, not Zone 13, okay? You'll check it to either Garland or Saline County, whichever part of Hot Springs Village you're in, but you will also check it to the Hot Springs Village Urban Deer Zone. Raise your hand if you're hunting outside of the Hot Springs Village Urban Deer Zone in a different urban deer hunt. Which one are you hunting in?
Horseshoe Bend.
Okay, so if you're hunting in Horseshoe Bend and you kill a deer in the Horseshoe Bend Urban Deer Zone, where do you check that to? Horseshoe Urban Deer Zone, that's right. So if you're participating in an urban deer hunt, that is the deer zone that you check it to. Am I clear? I want to make sure we're clear on that, okay? Checking it to an inappropriate zone gets you some paperwork to fill out from the officer, okay? Check it to the appropriate zone. If you qualify, you pay your money, you go through all the steps, you will be issued urban deer tags. These tags are specific for you, okay? Which means if your buddy runs out of tags, you don't rip yours off and give him some. They're issued specifically to you and to the hunt for that year, okay? So if you've got old tags from last year, chunk them, okay? They're not legal. Use these tags for the hunt that they're issued for. Now, you're also going to get a dash placard. So if you qualify in Hot Springs Village before you hunt in Horseshoe Bend or Fairfield Bay, Cherokee Village, you have to have that signed. That placard goes in your dash when you're hunting in that city. If there are two hunters in that truck, both of you have to have your dash placard, okay? If a police officer or a wildlife officer drives by and you're hunting and that placard's not in there, again, you're going to get some paperwork to fill out, okay? It's not going to be good. Only use the tags that are issued to you and to the city. As soon as you kill that deer, you attach one of those tags on that deer. That's immediately. Before you move it, you use a tag. If you use all your tags, go to the city hall or here in Hot Springs Village, I think it's Cortez Fire Station, get more tags. There are no bag limits, no antler point restrictions, so there's no reason not to get more tags, okay? You use a tag, make sure it's affixed. If you're going to donate it, we've got instructions on the outside of that trailer on how to, you're going to put an additional tag on there so we can test it for chronic wasting disease, okay? This tag looks like this right here. There'll be tags and zip ties inside the trailer. Fill it out as the instruction says and attach that to the deer too. So if you donate a deer, you're going to have two things on that deer. You're going to have an urban deer tag and you're going to have a CWD tag, okay? And if we have not discovered CWD here in Hot Springs Village, but we're constantly monitoring for it, okay? So we need you to attach this tag as well to that animal. What else? Yeah, so these are just for the city, okay? Don't go to your hunting club, don't go anywhere else in the state and utilize these tags. These are only to be used for the city that you've been approved to do an urban deer hunting, okay? So,
You'll get a lot of paperwork.
or you'll get a lot of paperwork, that's exactly right. Again, tag your deer immediately with the tag, but you do have 12 hours to check it, okay? Most of us use our cell phone to check deer anyway. It's wise just to go ahead and check it before you move it. If you take it to a meat processor or if you take it to the trailer, it has to be checked before you drop it off. Anytime an animal changes possession of hands, that deer has to be checked before that happens, okay? So if you harvest a deer, you plan on giving it to somebody, or you plan on putting it in the trailer, it has to be checked before that happens, okay? That information also has to be recorded on that CWD tag. As Wade said, Arkansas is not a right to retrieve state, so if you shoot a deer on a piece of property, it runs over on somebody else's property that you don't have permission, you don't have permission to trespass, okay? If you feel like you're going to have an issue, contact the city police is probably going to be your quickest response time, okay? We only have, a handful of officers in these two counties. Hot Springs Village has police on call all day, every day, okay? So I would probably reach out, especially if it's an emergency, reach out to the city police first. We want to be respectful at all times, okay? That's not just with each other, but with the citizens of the city, okay? They're giving us the opportunity to participate in this hunt here, and we want to make sure that we don't abuse that opportunity. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Say you shot $3 and you put your tax on those $3, you're done, right?
No,
No, you go get some more tags.
go get some more tags.
Okay, see, I built a whole sheet last year, I tagged out $3, I thought that stopped.
No, that's, there are no bag limits, no antler point restrictions. The target of this program is to remove deer. That's why we don't have bag limits inside the city limits. Yes, sir. Tracking dogs.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
I mean, yeah.
See why you couldn't.
Yeah, you can,
Yeah, they
you can be
have,
on a leash, but yeah, they're allowed.
yes, there is a blood trail network. All right, any more questions for me? Yes, sir. No daily limit.
Now, if you're sitting there in your stand and you got 3 tags, and you shoot 4 deer, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You shoot what you got tags for, then you go get more tags.
These tags, okay, have to be with you on your person. Okay, this is your secondary license. So you have to have an Arkansas hunting license. Okay, let me clarify that. You have to have Arkansas hunt license, number one, whether you're in state or out of state. You have to have your dash placard on your dash, and you've got to have your tags with you, okay? Now, if you're hunting on somebody's property, you also have to have written permission, okay? So bring a backpack. You got plenty of things to carry. Again, check at the Hot Springs Village Urban Deer Zone. Tag the deer immediately, okay? You got 12 hours to check it, but I would encourage you to check it immediately. And before that deer changes any kind of possession, whether you're putting it in the trailer, giving it to somebody, whatever, it has to be checked, okay? Yes, sir. I had a question.
Is there a name and address for local processors to take our first deer to?
Yeah, so Ronnie Ritter with Arkansas Hunters Feeding the Hungry, he'll talk about that. Anything else? I'm kind of blinded by this light, so just yell out.
Got
Yep.
one more to move.
How many tags can you have at a time?
So we've got 1,500 total tags, and so if somebody in this room can do quick math, there's over 300 of you. So you'll probably get 3 or 4 to start out with.
We're gonna get 3 from the city.
3 from the city, and then if you kill those 3, you come back and they'll reissue an additional.
As the hunt progresses, a lot of people kind of fade out, go do their own things. As it gets lower, they still got a lot of tags. They might end up giving you more tags at a time. But for right now, it's 3 tags at a time. That's what you're getting today. When you kill them 3, don't come get more tags until you got them 3 on deer. Then you come get some more.
And if your buddy hasn't filled their tags, don't ask them for their tags. These have unique numbers on them. They're assigned to the person that they're issued to, okay? If you need more tags, come back to the Cortez Fire Station and get more tags. That's the same as borrowing somebody else's license. We can't do that. It's 24 hours a day. However, let's be respectful, okay? You know, that's right. That's right. If you're going to go hunt the next day and you don't have tags, go ahead and get tags that day. Don't go knocking on the fire station at 5 o'clock in the morning needing tags, okay? Like I said, let's be respectful. If you're going to come out for lunch and you're down to 1 tag and you think you're going to kill more deer, run by the fire station at lunchtime, okay? Get the tags then. But let's be respectful of our firemen, okay?
If you want a time, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the evening. Don't go before or after that.
Yes, sir.
In these urban hunts, are all the huntable areas private, or are there any areas that are public?
So it depends on the city. Here in Hot Springs Village, there's a lot of common ground, and you'll need. We actually have maps on the website. If you've got an app called Avenza, you can download it for free. Download those PDF maps, and it'll show you exactly where you're at, where that POA property is. Otherwise, it's private property, and you'll have to ask permission. What's that?
You can't hunt that. No, you can't. Only POA property.
What was that website you talked about?
For the app, Avenza, Avenza. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Knowles, and Todd will to give you some additional instruction as well as go over some city-specific regulations.
Is there a Michael Burley here? Burley?
It's the man who
Yeah, there he is. Asking about getting extra tags. Tell you, Michael he tagged the most deer last year, donated the most to Hunters Feed the Hungry. It's people like him that really helps us out. We got him a little bit of a reward up here for doing that. We're going to also do that again next year for any hunter that tags the most deer, donates the most deer to Hunters Feed the Hungry, will receive $100 cash from the POA, also from Hunters Feed the Hungry. So Michael, here's you $200.
That goes to the hunter. Feed the kids and everything. And he stopped. That goes to that. And he stopped.
Yeah. Well, you gotta get your picture made with us anyway. Okay. And I'm gonna have this
I'll
money
get
out
some
here,
paper cuts for
whether you
us.
take it or not.
This stays this drive might do it for next year.
Hey, hopefully you do. I can tell you, Michael put a hurt on him now.
I'm gonna write a case today.
Thank you. I think Michael tagged 19, donated 19 deer last year, and we're able to do. He kept 3 for himself. He donated 19, and we were able to do research and studies on all 19 of them. And that really helps the game and fish, and helps Ralph as far as determining what kind of diseases we may have here in the village or in Garland, Saline County, and kind of aging some of them. And we really appreciate that, Michael. You've done a good job. But we're going to do that again next year. If anybody wants to win them some cash, take them out, as many as you can, and donate them to Hunters Feed the Hungry. This is a great cause. Hot Springs Village Urban Deer Hunting, correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie, but I believe that we donate more deer to Hunters Feed the Hungry out of this hunt in Hot Springs Village than all the other hunts combined and add them by 2. Or multiply them by 2. And that's something we take pride in, because this is a great organization. We've reached schools, which Ronnie will touch on that in a little bit, different schools, the surrounding areas. They've made it up to northern Arkansas. I know my daughter-in-law, she teaches at a little school called OARC, and I think Ralph and AJ is the only people who knows where that is. But Ronnie knows where it is. But anyhow, they've started the snack stick program there. And so it's a great organization. It helps so many people, helps so many families, and we appreciate Ronnie and Hunters Feed the Hungry for all they do for the community and surrounding communities. But welcome to Hot Springs Village. For those that have never been here before, we take pride in our community. This is a retirement community, so lots of people that live here love the deer. They love the deer, they love the geese, they love the squirrels, they love all the little animals. And they love watching them come out and prance around, play in their backyard. And they don't take too kindly at hunters. So there may be times that you run into someone that might not be very friendly. And if there is, and you run into an altercation, just please contact Hot Springs Village Police Department or contact myself. And my number will be online, and contact me. We'll make sure that it gets resolved. Because at the end of the day, we want you to enjoy your experience here, and we want you to take as many deer as you can. And another thing, if somebody moves in on you, if you're deer hunting and you get up and you go out to get in your stand and somebody's put another stand close to you, or somebody's put a camera up close to your stand, handle it like adults. I mean, we're all adults here. Don't get into a fight and get into a yelling match and call me, and me have to try to be the person to come out and calm everybody down. This year, for any complaints that we're going to have, or any problems that you may have, last year in the month of September, I documented it. The hunt started September the 1st. By October the 1st, I had received 83 phone calls from hunters, complaints from other hunters. And also another thing we have a problem here is theft. If you get caught stealing something, you're out for life. You'll never come back and hunt Hot Springs Village. And this year, if you have a complaint or something happens, you need to contact someone. I'll be the last resort. You'll contact Scott McCord. He's right here. Raise your hand, Scott. And Tom Impizzelli. They're going to be handling all the complaints, all the calls. If you got any problems, contact those guys. I have their numbers here, and I'll put them out front at the table. And if you want their numbers, you can write them down. Is that all right with you guys? And if you have any complaints or anything at all happens while you're hunting, contact those guys. And if it gets bad enough, they'll contact me. But I've taken on another role as superintendent of lakes, so I haven't got time to handle all the complaints that we do. So Tom and Scott are going to handle all that for me, and they're going to do all the complaints and all the problems that you may arise. Another thing, clean up after yourselves. Pick up your corn bags. Don't leave entrails and carcasses laying all over the dirt roads. These people moved down here from Wisconsin, Illinois. They're not used to the Southern way of life, a bunch of them. You know, they're not used to going out and taking deer. So they want to walk their little poodles and their little cocker spaniels up the dirt roads, and they get up there and they see a deer carcass. That's not very good for me, because then it opens up a whole can of worms. And they call my administration, and my administration gets on me. So let's just kind of clean up after ourselves. Let's make sure that we dispose of our entrails and our carcasses properly. Make sure we clean up our corn bags. And, you know, I retrieved 6 stands last year that was in a road ditch. Actually, literally in a road ditch. Make sure you get off the road, guys. Hey, I'm fat and lazy, and I don't want to carry a stand very far. But make sure you get 50 yards off the road. Don't put it right on the side of the road in a road ditch, because it will be confiscated. Am I right? And also, when the hunt is over with, we extend it this year for another month to last the same season as actual bow season. So February 28th will be the last day of our urban deer hunt. You have 2 weeks after February 28th, 2 weeks to retrieve your stands, your cameras, and your feeders. Don't rely on a buddy to do it for you, because we've confiscated a bunch, and I've called the people, well, my buddy's supposed to have got them. Well, he didn't, and now I got them. So we will confiscate your stands if you don't have them up 2 weeks after the hunt's over with. I mean, that's plenty of time. Now, if you run into any problems getting in the gates, they will be checking your placards with your driver's license. So please do not let someone else, just because you can't hunt, don't let someone else that wasn't here at the orientation borrow your placard to get into the village to hunt out of your stand. Because they will be checking your driver's license with your placard. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's a state law, right? You have to be the one hunting if that placard's in your name. So if that happens and they stop you at the gate, game and fish is going to be caught. It probably ain't going to be very good. But other than that, guys, hey, I appreciate you so much coming out and participating in this urban deer hunt. I appreciate Mr. Tucker here, Wade, and Ralph for all he does. Ralph has been amazing for years with the deer population. I know he works with the elk, everything else of North Arkansas. He does a great job, and I really appreciate Ronnie. Ronnie, you know, they feed lots of hungry families, and it's hunters like you that can make that possible. It's people like you going out and participating in these urban deer hunts, donating your deer, that make this possible for them to feed all the hungry families in the surrounding communities and the schools. But other than that, I guess that's about wraps it up for me. Does anybody got any questions for me? I'll be over the hunt here in the village. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Fisher.
Hey, how you doing, Todd?
This is Jake Fisher from Fisher Farms.
That's it. Just make sure that they know that this map has been updated.
Yeah, I don't know how many people here is familiar with the village, but Tranquillo Way, excuse me, has some private land that's been bought down at the end of it. So there's been some yellow that was taken out that got put back in, and because the people that we do our EFS Edge mapping with deleted our eligible hunting ground. I told them, I said, we got to have that because we have to have our maps. So they put it back in. When they put it back in, some of it popped back in that I had took out. So when you go down, just be aware of Tranquillo Way. Tranquillo Lane. I'm sorry. I'll get it right here in a minute, Jake.
There's a bunch of them, you know, could be
It's down around the middle fork. But anyhow, that land has been sold. And matter of fact, Jake's the one that bought it.
That's right.
Jake's got some.
I don't want to be the mean guy running everybody off.
He's going to let me come down there and hunt though one of these days.
That's right.
But anyhow though, that will be off limits, and I'll get that updated, Jay, before the season starts. I appreciate your cooperation with that. Go ahead.
Open or concealed carry while scouting or hunting, is that okay?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Open and or concealed carry while scouting or
Yeah,
hunting?
no, you can't possess a firearm inside the village,
Okay,
even if it's concealed carry.
okay.
Go ahead.
I know last year we got business card or something at the beginning, we got done with this, so we could go and mark it, we put our stands up after we did this.
Uh-huh.
Cause I had the problem about a year or so ago that I walk out there and before we come to orientation, there's cameras torn out. Are we gonna do that this year or what are we gonna do?
You just write you a piece of paper down and drop a pin and send it to one of these numbers.
So, but I mean, if I leave here, when I get done, I just got done shooting, if I leave here and I go to a spot that I went last year and all of a sudden I see pouring a camera out there, do I just let y'all know or?
Yeah, let these guys here know. And if it's out there, and if it's not someone now, here's the kicker. I have people that's going to deer hunt, that's going to participate in the hunt, that actually work the orientation, so they're going to be here all day. So I told them that they can go and put their stands out yesterday because they're working the orientation. So you may run into one of them, but these two guys knows where those are. So if you call them and it's not somewhere that they're aware of and that stands out, it's going to be confiscated.
Okay, so if you go out there and you see someone set up in a spot that you hunted previously, okay, if you look at it and you can physically see that's been there for a few days,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, then you got something to say. But
Let us
if
know.
someone just put it out, then you're moving to a different spot and they beat you to it.
I
Yeah,
understand that they can,
Yeah.
yeah.
if I'm seeing literally, I'm living with everybody else when I get done.
Oh yeah, if you get out there and the ground is chewed up where it's been eaten there,
Yeah.
there you go.
Let us know immediately.
Yes, sir.
We'll get it taken care of. Last year, I went out to some right after orientation was over with that had vines growing in it. Yeah, I said, well, we put them up yesterday. And well, them vines, you must have put some real grow or something on them because they sure sprouted up in a hurry. But is there any more questions? Yeah.
Stands only, is that right?
Huh?
2 stands only?
2 stands per hunter, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. I like the guy. 2 stands per hunter. In the past, we've had trouble with someone running out and putting 5 or 6 stands up, and that was causing other people not to get to enjoy a hunt. They may have a stand up here and not ever come there but once every 2 or 3 weeks to hunt out of it, because they got 4 or 5 up everywhere else. But somebody wanting to put a stand up, of course, out of courtesy, didn't put a stand up there to hunt because they thought someone was already there. So we run into that a bunch. So please, just limit yourselves to 2 stands per hunter. And that way everybody will have plenty of land to hunt on. But 2 stands per hunter.
How soon can we put them out?
Today. As soon as you leave here, you go hang a stand. Yeah, go ahead. Huh? 2, you can put as many cameras as you want as long as you're at those 2 stands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another question. You know, this guy here talking about the cameras before. As far as I know, nobody's ever said you cannot put a camera on.
Right.
Anywhere, you know, on our.
Just leave those, mainly keep your cameras around your stands.
Yeah, 'cause
We
if
don't-
you put up 5 cameras, I'm not gonna put a stand where.
Right, and you're not gonna hang a stand where a camera is, because you think somebody's already scouting. So limit your cameras to your stands. If you got a stand up, and you wanna hang 4 cameras at that stand, hey, so be it. But make sure that your cameras are at your stands that you're hunting out of.
The reason I said that is because we run into that same problem last year with 4 or 5 cameras strung up and down a location. And this is the same guy,
Yeah.
but he can only hunt 2 stands, but he had them strung out,
Yeah, that's what
over a 400.
That's what we want to try to eliminate. So when you hang your cameras, put them out by your stands. Don't just go through the village hanging cameras out everywhere. And yeah, go ahead.
What if you hunt and find a stand on
try to, are you gonna have a camera? You'll have a camera there, won't you? That's kind of what we were getting at, I believe. I don't think anybody's gonna take a stand and put up where your camera's located. I know that somebody that's archery hunted before usually won't. So,
It's a legit deal. You're gonna run into it, you're gonna see it. Like I said, we found him last year with 4 or 5 cameras out, same guy. He can only hunt 2 locations, but what he's doing is trying to block you from setting up in there with a camera, just with a camera. He's not got a stand, but he's got a
understand.
camera, and he's feeding it, and he's making it look like he's gonna hunt.
well, if you run into that this year, please call Tom or call Scott and let them check into it, and I can promise you, they will investigate it. They'll know what's going on, and if he's got cameras up everywhere, it'll be gone. They will take care of it. They're very nice gentlemen. They're avid bow hunters. They're avid hunters, hunted their whole lives. They know what's going on. You're not going to pull anything over them. So if you run into any problems, please call Scott or call Tom, and they'll take care of it. Yeah, there's one more.
I saddle hunt, so what I did is I took a piece of styrofoam, put my name and number on it, put it around the tree close to the area I'm hunting in. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, styrofoam, wrote his name on it, says occupied hunting, so.
Yeah, I got a little
Yeah.
placard.
And I thought.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Well, hey, we're running a little bit behind. I know we want to get out and get things shot before it gets so hot, but you can get with me afterwards, or if you need phone numbers or you need to get with them, this here is Tom and Scott. Scott McCord and Tom himself.
Whoa, where y'all
Hang on,
going?
whoa. We got one more
Nobody
thing.
said nothing about leaving. We said we was running behind. We still got somebody that needs to talk.
Yeah.
So, Ronnie Ritter here with Hunters Feeding the Hungry. Just want to thank, the ABA and the POA and the Game and Fish. We've worked with these guys for years. And literally, these urban hunts provide about 20 to 25% of our total donations throughout the year. So it's huge for us, especially the early season. Todd mentioned the snack sticks. All the snack sticks that we do with the schools all across the state come out of, most of them out of Hot Springs Village. Y'all donated 200 deer last year. Each deer will produce about 300 packages of these snack sticks. Just think about it, 300 kids out of one deer that you're able to help. Really, this is your program. Y'all have done a great job all across the state. I know, and again, Hot Springs Village is the biggest by far. 200 deer, the others were less than 200 if you combined all of them. We were able to serve communities from Gravette to Foreman to Lake Village to Paragould with these snack sticks. So and they're all CWD tested. We got a couple of biologists. Usually once a week, sometimes twice a week. We'll pull the trailer, carry it to a local processor. We'll pull CWD samples. They'll send them off. So we're checking that before we put these snack sticks into schools. If you're hunting outside the village, I know we had a question here about other places to donate deer. If you look on our website, arkansashunters.org, it'll list all the processors, and that's constantly being updated. I added one in Crossett just this past week. In Garland County, there's Blacks. Griffiths is taking them this year. I know last year Griffiths didn't take them because of the COVID and the beef shortage, but he is taking them this year. I talked to him just the other day. In Saline County, Cruise Meat Market. So that's the close ones around here. Yeah, the trailer's going to be at the Cortez Fire Station like it always is. It'll be there as long as y'all putting deer in there. I think I pulled it in December last year because I'm only getting about one a week, and it's just a lot of time and expense to come here and get one deer. Also, Clamp is just outside the west gate. We'll take them as well. So lots of opportunities to, if you don't put it in the trailer, if you're hunting somewhere else, then look at our website. We got about 70 deer processors all across the state. You can drop deer off. Field dress them. And be sure and field dress the deer when you put in the cooler. We have had a couple of times where, I think we had one last year maybe that was not gutted. that can ruin several deer as you pile them in there. So, you know, we can check those tags. We know who donated the deer. The bigger the better. You know, we like those big bucks. Cut the antlers off, you keep them, donate those big ones. That's really, because these small ones, if you get 10 pounds of meat, we're paying that processor about the same as we do for a big deer. So we had a processor almost quit us a couple of years ago because they were so many fawns. It did much better. I think we only had a couple out of the village last year. I think that's right, Todd, that was fawns, and I think that was just a mistake. But so anyway, any questions for me? Pardon?
If your first deer is a big buck, you're wanting to rack or whatever, the deer's getting donated, but it has to be tested, correct?
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be, well, here it doesn't have to be, does it? We would like for it to be tested, but if it's a true enough monster, then, you know, you don't have to, but you have to donate the deer, but you keep the head.
Yeah, we have had a few that we couldn't test, that were cut off down here if you wanted them mounted. I guess that's the question you're asking. So yeah, they don't necessarily have to be, but we want as many tested as possible, correct, Ralph? Yeah. We don't want CWD in this area. We want to continue to do what we're doing. So yeah, we did have some last year that were cut off too low to pull that sample out. So any more? I think the wildlife officer wants to say a couple of words. I do have a few snacks that I'm going to throw out there while you're talking. You've had some before.
I'm Wildlife Officer Bernie Solis. I'm a game warden in Saline County. I work some of Garland County as well. And some of the stuff that I want to talk to you about our violations is going to be the loaning your permit or your license. That's a Class 1 penalty in our book, and it's a 6-point violation. If you falsify the information, that's a Class 3 penalty, which is 18 points. It's a suspension of your fishing or hunting license. So, you know, just a little bit of information out there that if you guys commit any of the violations that Arkansas Game and Fish has in our book, I mean, we have a huge book, and there's a lot of violations in there. So y'all might ask me questions that I might not know the answer to because it's a big book. And right now we're in boating season, so all my boating laws are the ones that are kept in my memory back then. And then when deer season comes, then I'll refresh my memory with those other violations. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be outside. Feel free to come up to me and ask me.
Yeah, I'd just like to cover one thing that was on our sheet here. You have 12 hours to register your deer instead of the 24 hours that the paper was showing. And that we are going to be a little bit tougher with the zero tolerance policy on a lot of the issues here in the village. And one of them is going to be on that placard. When you come through that gate, you got to show that driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license and that's not you, that placard is going to be confiscated. The Fish and Game will be notified on that. I'd rather not be taking all these phone calls that Todd's talking about. So again, just be adults about this. Figure out what's going to happen. And then if you guys have to call Scott or myself, we'll have to deal with it then. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, before we dismiss, Ralph was saying, when you check your deer on your placard, so you check it in, or when you check it and you write it down on your placard, you'll get a confirmation when you check it with the Game and Fish. That confirmation number needs to go, correct? Confirmation and your tag number needs to go on the sheet, your back of your placard. That way all that information is there. Is that what you wanted? Okay. Like I said before we started, let's try to get through this one without giving the city officials and the game warden, you know, a lot of trouble. Let's do this one, slide in, slide out. And when we're going to fix to get ready to break out here. So you guys that raised your hands said you had to take the field day. You're going to go across the way, you're going to go see Miss Carrie over here, and she's gonna get you broke up into groups more than likely and get you sent out to the field day. And then the rest of you guys are gonna go back out here and get in line, and we're gonna get through this as fast as we can. It's gonna be warm, but let's just move smoothly. One thing I can tell you now, you're all in here. If you have a crossbow, when you're about up there to the line, I have no problem with you having it cocked or cocking it when you get on the line, but don't put no bolt in it until I tell you to. Please. Then we'll get out there and we'll get shot through, and we'll all try to get out of here and have a good day. All right, so field day people, y'all break out right now and head over there. It's not over. Nah, they wasn't listening. That's everybody just go.